arm like kicked up. I used to feel so ashamed of walking out on the street because I felt like they could see what I'd become. So I used to give myself paper cuts between my toes.
Ow.
And fill my
It just comes out. Ow.
yeah, like fill my shoes with lemon juice and salt so that when I walked down the street, I would be in such intense pain that that would give me something. So I felt that I deserved. I had something over them. You know, these are just normal people going about their days. They hadn't done anything wrong. They probably weren't even looking at me. But to me, they were a threat, and I needed to respond to that threat with a kind of a real force. So it was like, right, I'll damage myself. And that wasn't even the worst of it, you know, and I got sent to hospital and they were like, are you okay? I was like, yeah, I'm fine. And then just leave the hospital. And I remember going in for, oh yeah, so I'll get to that. I used to take, so I'm a metal worker, right? I'm an artist. And back then I used to sit on my own, and the loneliness that I experienced was abject. And I would never wish that loneliness on anybody, because it is crushing. So I used to make knives, and then after making, I'd keep myself busy making knives, and I used to heat them up and stab myself with them. You know, I used to shave off bits of skin and just progressively hurt myself even more and more. And it culminated when I gave myself 4th degree burns by using a soldering iron to push through the skin and the fat right into the muscle and the tendon tissue to kind of give myself this tattoo of sorts. And even then it didn't click to me that I wasn't okay, and that just progressed. And then I remember drinking gin all night one day. My mum came home, so I was, you know, living with them, and God knows what the pain that I put them through. And we had this fight, and I went downstairs and I just picked up the sharpest knife I could, and as I said, you know, I'm a strong guy, and I just pressed it into my arm and I just pulled it, and it just split my arm open. You know, I could feel the knife click on the bone. That's really difficult to talk about, because I can still feel that agony that I was in. And that was the moment where they're like, you are going to kill yourself. And I literally think, give me a couple more days.
You did that in front of your mom?
Yeah, I did it in front of my
I mean, that's a cry for help, if anything.
Yeah.
The scars, like, I think there's a song, Jimmy Eat World, but the scars remind us that the past is real. I love that.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I mean, we can learn from it and live for it. So what'd your mom do?
She freaked out. She called the ambulance and the police and said, just do something for my son. Please just do something for him. So I went to a plastic surgeon. They managed to, they got there in time so they could reconnect. Like, my nerves in my right arm are just weird. You know, they're all over the place. So it doesn't
And you
really
work with metal as an artist, so it's got to be difficult with your arm. Like,
I have a very high pain threshold in my arm, I'll tell you that. Oftentimes molten steel will just splash on it and I won't notice, because the pain is just kind of, it's all spread over. It doesn't really make, so that's a kind of a silver lining from it, I guess. And then after that,
did your mom get help for watching her son take it?
No, I hope
it's pretty
so.
Traumatic. I can just only imagine what she must have been feeling. Like, wow.
I mean, just to see her little beautiful boy transform into this deeply tortured young man must have been incredibly difficult. And, you know, to this day, I love my mum so deeply, and she still feels so guilty, and I can't rescue her from that guilt. And the only thing that I can do, Tiffany, is show her that day on day, I am still recovering, that I am still, like, that's my gift to her, which gives her so much, because she's still terrified.
Yeah, of course. But yeah, every day that she doesn't have to worry about you, or that she doesn't have to watch you suffer anymore. I mean, that must be a relief. Welcome callers to call in, 866-826-1340. Man, Henry, your story is like, we can do a 2-hour episode on this one. For sure.
Sorry, I just take up people's time with this story, and it all kind of, so yeah.
It's fascinating. I mean, it's tragic, but at the same time, I know that it all ends up well. So it's fascinating, and that letting everyone know that you're not alone, and not only that, but like, look, you were labeled as schizophrenic, as bipolar, all these labels, and look at you now. You're a wonderful person, and you know, and you're doing wonderful things to help others, and shame on anyone for looking down on someone with a diagnosis, because that's
Absolutely.
just, I mean, that takes a lot of courage to wake up every day knowing that you don't know what you're going to think the next day, or what mood you're going to be in, or what you might have to really live through. Sometimes people with what diagnoses you were given, your reality is our hell, you know, our worst nightmare, things like that. So I give you a lot of props for that one.
Well, thank you. And I think, you know, I know that we're coming to the end, but anyone who's listening who kind of resonates with this or feels that way, like, you don't have to suffer alone. Like, you do not. That is not your destiny, and that's not the kind of life that you have to live. There are so many people out there who have experienced it. Like, I am one. Tiffany is there with you as well, and like, I don't want to speak for you, Tiffany, but
no, I am. I'm here.
Like reach out, and because it's my two things that I bring to my coaching is that no one has to suffer on their own,
right?
And everybody has the ability to turn things around. Absolutely. Everything.
I keep giving you the bell, but it's so true. Not everything has to last forever, and there's treatment and there's support, and not everyone is judgmental. Not everyone is a bad person, and I think there's good in a little bit of good in everyone, but it's how they want to portray it.
So I encourage anyone to reach out. But going back to it, so I got put into this mental health ward for acute mental health, so they could just detox me from all the alcohol. My liver was shot. My mind was broken. But you know what it was? Like, I stayed there for 3 months, and I just sampled that little glimpse of what life was like when my mental health was catered for, and when I wasn't drinking or taking drugs. And I just sampled that little bit, and something in that just sparked a light that I hadn't felt since I was like 7 years old.
Wow.
And I remember the thought, I was like, there has to be something better than this. And that was all it took. And I went into a rehab, which I owe my life to. And I spent 6 months in there, and I sat down. I remember sitting down in their group room and just crying and saying, I don't know how to do this. There is so much that I have to work through. Didn't know how to start. But I just put one foot in front of the other by saying that. I just opened my mouth and said what I had never dared say to anyone else. And that freed me. And for 6 months, I just consistently faced every single one of my demons.
And that's the way. That's the way to do it. Instead of trying to escape them through drugs, alcohol, or brushing things under the rug and trying to ignore it, the treatment is facing it and shredding the shame, shredding the guilt. You know, getting, especially if it's childhood stuff that it isn't anybody's fault. It's especially undeserved guilt, and now that darkness and everything, there's light that's with it. Couldn't agree more. Hang on, Henry. We're going to get to the end of your story, but we're going to take our second break really quick, and we'll be right back with Moments of Clarity and Henry Johnstone in just a second.
We will return to Moments of Clarity with Tiffany Warner after these messages.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Hi, this is Tiffany Warner, your host of Moments of Clarity. Living with a mental health disorder is not easy. If you or someone you know are struggling with this, please know it's so important to seek treatment, and I'm here to help. Please visit the website at momentsofclaritywithttiffany.com to view blog posts and resources on this site to help educate and inspire you to take action, because there's no shame in seeking help for mental health. While you're there, please take a few seconds to sign up for my email list. You'll get some extremely valuable educational and entertaining content that can be sent right to your inbox each week. Plus, you'll also get instant and free access to my guide on managing your anxiety. You can also follow me on Twitter at MOC with Tiffany and at Facebook at Tiffany Warner. And once again, the website is momentsofclaritywithttiffany.com. Thank you so much for your support and for listening to your show, because change can only come when we stand together as one. Hi, this is Tiffany Warner, your host of Moments of Clarity. I'd like to give a shout out to musician-songwriter Don Lawson, who wrote, produced, and performed all the vocals and instruments on my Moments of Clarity theme song. Don gained his inspiration as a mental health counselor himself. He's always looking for artists to record his songs, and you can hear more of Don's music at reverbnation.com/Don Lawson. You can also check him out on Twitter at Don Lawson Music. Thank you so much, Don, for your contribution to Moments of Clarity and ending the stigma on mental health. It's awesome.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Now back to Moments of Clarity with Tiffany Werner, licensed mental health counselor. To engage in the conversation, call 866-826-1340. Here's Tiffany.
Welcome back. And if you're just tuning in, this is Moments of Clarity. I'm Tiffany Warner. I'm a licensed mental health counselor, and I'm your host. And today we're speaking to a very special guest. He's calling in from the United Kingdom, and he is discussing some very personal and very scary things that he's gone through since the very early age. And from schizophrenia symptoms to hearing voices, depersonalization, drug and alcohol abuse, and abuse in boarding homes, etc. And he's lived to tell the tale. And then also, not only that, but he hosts a very, very awesome, amazing podcast that's on iTunes and Spotify called The Inner Warrior. I want to welcome back to Moments of Clarity, Henry Johnstone.
Hello, Tiffany. I'm back. My internet did just drop, and I was like, oh, no, come on. Don't drop on me now.
You and Ed, Big Ed, the producer back there, got it settled up.
Yeah, it's all good. All good now.
Yeah. Thank you, Ed, for everything. Okay, so anyway, so we are at the final 10 minutes, so I want to make sure that we can promote your Inner Warrior and your coaching and everything. But so after all of this, where did we leave off? And then you discovered hope. You decided to clean up and stop using drugs and alcohol and decide that things have to be better than this. You didn't want to be homeless. You didn't want to steal from your parents anymore. You didn't want to feel shame and darkness. So then you went into a rehab, and I think that's kind of where we left off.
And what's really interesting is that I had a therapist in rehab, and she continued to be my therapist, and she's out of rehab. She's been my therapist for the last 10 years. So I celebrate my 10 years sober date on the 23rd of this month.
Oh, congratulations. 23 years?
No, 10 years.
10 years, sorry. Okay. 10 years. And it was
that journey of self-knowledge that really helped me. And it was that forgiving myself. And for all, it's like something...
forgiveness of yourself. Yeah. That's a big one.
Yeah. And it was okay. You know, I was operating under what I thought was right, using the tools and the beliefs that I developed based on my experiences. So I forgave myself. And I remember when I left rehab, my dad sent me a card, and he said, I'm proud to call you my son. And it still brings like this incredible emotional response from me, because that's all I wanted throughout my entire life. Was my parents to say they were proud of me.
Have they said it yet? Okay.
Yeah,
more than once? No, I'm sure they say it every day.
They say it all the time. You know, I actually have tears in my eyes just remembering that. And, like, the life that I've created based on the choices that I decided to make.
That's really, really great. And I mean, I'm sure the mental health system failed you once upon a time early on.
It did.
And that's the sad part, is that hopefully with all this raising awareness, ending the stigma, putting things out there, outreach, letting people know it's okay and it's not a shame to seek help. There's no reason, there's no shame in seeking help and certain treatment. It's more difficult to live with the symptoms and not know what's going on than it is to understand it. Either way, the symptoms are going to be there. It's just like sometimes people can put a name on it, but it doesn't make you less of a person just with a label. Everyone has something. Everyone has something. Even a phase of life problem, an adjustment disorder. And that's like a 6 months thing. If you can move or divorce or marry or whatever without any stress, you're lying.
Yeah.
And that's in the mental health diagnosis manual. So you know what? So anyway, but yeah, so there, for those of you that think that you don't have something,